Hello everyone, my name is Catherine Horton and this is my capstone presentation based on my literature review, and my topic is language and literacy development among children with autism. The development of language and literacy among young children with autism spectrum disorder is complex because it is characterized by neurological factors that impacts development within each of the learning domains and not just language and literacy. Specifically, in the area of language and literacy, ASD involves deficits in language development and social interaction, which, as we know, is the cornerstone of how children perceive the world around them, how they learn. Children acquire language skills through social interaction, and so neuro growth patterns in the brains of individuals with ASD, in addition to these challenges with social interaction, causes very oftentimes language deficits, speech deficits, language and literacy challenges, as well as children having autism and being completely nonverbal. So, the social interactions between peers and adults in an intentional manner for children with autism is crucial. A defining characteristic of the role of teachers in supporting a child with ASD is through careful attention to the learning environment in regards to sensory distractions and in their efforts to support an environment that provides rich, meaningful, and consistent literary experiences. And this involves the use of parent partnerships that teachers possess in having families carry out these same rich literary experiences that they will have in the classroom, and having them bring those into their home life in order to provide a consistent means for interventions for their child. Through my studies, I have found that the impact of home literacy environments on the literacy development of children with ASD is tremendous. The home literacy environment encompasses many components, such as opportunities for parent-child and or individual reading, formal and informal literacy practices, reading resources, parental education background, and attitudes toward literacy development between parents and educators. The home literacy environment overall of typically developing children is critical in promoting and accelerating both language and literacy skills of readers. However, it is even more crucial for children with ASD. As I had previously mentioned, ASD, autism spectrum disorder, is a spectrum, not a single disorder, meaning that no two children are alike in their deficits or in their needs, or how ASD manifests in their life. Each child is unique, and what I have found, though, is that the primary means for facilitating growth of language and literacy is through rich literary experiences. My interest in this topic derives from my experiences in early childhood environments and with family members and acquaintances of mine who have autism spectrum disorder. And I have found it oftentimes confusing because autism is on a spectrum and there really is not a one size fits all approach to supporting individuals with autism. However, when it comes to language and literacy development, it seems to be a little more universal than it would be in other developmental domains. So, understanding the underlying conditions of how ASD impacts speech and language and literacy development has to do, of course, with neural growth patterns and how that influences behavior and sensory processing. Individuals with ASD show functional differences in the language network within the brain, thus directly impacting language, according to Coburn and Williams, who are two doctors that studied neurogrowth development and the impact that it has on language and literacy development of individuals with autism. According to Coburn, neurodevelopment among children with ASD involves changes to overall brain volume, cortical thickness, surface area myelination, and myelination specifically is an essential process to nervous system functioning. The myelin enables nerve cells to transmit information and allow for complex brain processes to occur. And so therein lies where the issues with developing reading comprehension skills comes from, and illustrates the underlying structural differences within the brain that directly correlates with difficulties in language and literacy learning. Um, these measures, which of course is unique to each child and how this manifests in their life, has to do with the interventions that are going to be put into place. However, in my studies, I have found that children being provided with shared book reading interventions with adults is the best form of language and literacy support. It is both developmentally appropriate in the support of emergent literacy and social communication skills, which social interactions with others is something that we always want to support and something that we always want to facilitate and encourage on a consistent basis. Um, in my study, or in the studies that I reviewed, the results of the positive effects of shared reading experiences depends on the richness of communications and interactions between the child and the adult reader. So it means that it doesn't matter the amount of literacy experiences that are being provided for these children. What matters the most is the quality of these shared reading experiences. And finally, according to Fleury, which is another doctor who studied the the effects of parent-mediated interventions for children in supporting their growth in language and literacy, um, found that children with an increased number of language opportunities within these interactions that they had with their parents showed that receptive and expressive communication skills as well as social communication increased after a 12-week intervention period using this method within their study. And finally, according to their study, expressive vocabulary for half of the sample that they had used increased 25%. So overall, this illustrates that the effectiveness of PMI interventions for children with ASD is amazing. It is critical that parents facilitate literary experiences for their children just like teachers would. And this concludes my capstone presentation. Thank you.